Hello, welcome to Alienate UK on Wednesday, the 27th of November. I have to check the date then. Don't even ask.
I never know the date, so.
Snap. Yeah, and we're definitely not doing one on Christmas Day, so it's all good.
Nope.
No. So, no updates other than our last Monday show is on the 9th of December. Then after that, it's going to be Wednesdays and Fridays. Maybe the odd one here and there, but the main two, Wednesday, Friday. That's it. So our guest today, once again, is a wonderful Mark Anderson, part of Scottish Paranormal Podcast. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hey, guys. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, you are more than welcome. It felt like when you came on the 24-hour one, it felt like it just went so fast.
Yeah, that was a funny night.
Yeah, because you didn't know you was coming on, did you, till like an hour and a half or something before?
No, I knew the night. I found out the night before at 10 p.m.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Because wasn't Chris going to come on at first?
Yeah, Chris was going to come on, and he messaged me at 9:45 that night. And Chris is texting me a bit cryptic sometimes. Like, what are you doing tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, well, I'll have the kids. My youngest son's disabled, so to get my wife dressed by, she went to stay with my parents. She's from Poland, and I'd been up all night with my son, and I was like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'll likely have a little one, so I can't come and see you because we live very close to each other. He goes, no, it's a podcast. I'm like, yeah, I could maybe jump on a podcast and get my oldest son to look after. And they didn't know it was going to be live or anything about it.
He didn't even tell you?
No, just like,
oh, easy shit.
Didn't tell you the hosts were going to be sleep deprived.
Yeah, and I just think it was the case that you didn't know me, I didn't know you. I didn't know it was live or anything. I can't remember if it was live or not. But
I knew who you was, but because I'd been awake at that point for about 30 plus hours. Yeah. So I'm like, is it the same Mark Anderson that was on Paul Sinclair like a couple of weeks before? And if it is, he's the same guy that works with Chris Meek. So it's all good. And then as soon as you started talking and you had the Scottish accent, I thought, it's got to be. It's got to be. It cannot be anybody else. And it was. So it was pretty good. But no, it was good. It was really good. So thank you for coming on with short notice.
An endeavor. That was so fun, though, not knowing who the guests were going to be.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise though, and I just remember before it was about to start, I need to take my son out to get. He's severely autistic, and I had to take him out, and he ran away, and it's like it's like, do you know what do you call it, the Benny Hill show? He ran away, he hides away, and we take him to a play park. I was chasing after him. I was like, dee. And it was because I was trying to catch him to get to the show in time, and just caught him and got ready. And then I remember seeing Steve Mera on before me, and it was Errol Grey. And I was like, these guys are massive. I was like, what am I doing?
You know what? I see it. Everyone's the same. It's just some people have been doing it longer than others, and and some have more knowledge through doing it for that amount of time. But I think everyone, as long as you're taking it, in the right areas, like going in the right places with it, then it doesn't really matter, I don't think.
Yeah, and you have some people who are very big names who are getting booked for all the cons, and they don't know anything really. They just, kind of dumb lucked their way into.
I'm glad you said that.
But there's these people who never get acknowledged for anything. They haven't been published. They don't do like the con circuit, but they're so knowledgeable and so interesting to talk to that I'd rather talk to them than one of the big names.
Oh yeah. There's some people that are simply amazing, and there's what I've found is that the thing for me that drives me is the community. And one thing is that we're starting to find that in the woodworks, there's a lot of people in Scotland that have been a bit quiet, but when you actually find out who they are and find out their stories, what they've seen, and you're like, oh my God, it's just incredible. How did this happen? Yeah. And these stories are like, you maybe hear the stories that Paul Sinclair talks about, like Wolflands and stuff like that. And these are really good accounts, but there's similar things happening in Scotland, for example. And it's you finding these people. And also, I was out with a friend of mine on Monday, and it's like coming out the spiritual, the paranormal closet. Once you come out and you find these people, you get a nice sense of community. And and some of the accounts, some of the people know are just amazing.
Yeah, but with you saying then about Steve and Earl, when I was first, I remember each time I interviewed them the first time, and I'm sat here and I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. Don't know if I can physically do this. And you start talking to them, and then kind of getting into it, and I'd not been doing it that long at that point. And then I've had the opportunity. I've met Steve a couple of times. Obviously, I've not met Earl, but I spoke to Earl on like personal levels and that, like telephone, video chats, and all that. So I've become really good friends with him. So they're there, and they always say, "Like, if you need anything, just give us a shout. If I can help you, I will." So you end up getting on that level with him.
Oh,
I think once you get to that, it's like, there's still massive names, but it's like it's just privileged to have the opportunity to call them a friend.
Definitely. I don't know Paul Sinclair that well, but certainly every time I've messaged him, he's always made time for me. Yeah. And I don't really know him that well, but he's just such a nice man. Such a kind and generous man, very gracious with his time. Yeah. And people like Chris, for example, Chris Meek, Chris is great. He's just such a nice guy. So everybody's normal. It's not like when you meet these people, and maybe some of them are ancient aliens. You find out they live in the same a house like you do, drive a car like you do, have the same problems as well.
Well, yeah. It's like we've got a store in the UK called B&M Bargains, right? And it's like Target, but probably more tacky. And I'm not going to give the name of the person who it was, but you can get some really good stuff there. I get a lot of my electronic stuff there and alcohol because it's cheaper. But there's a guest coming on. He's quite a big name in the paranormal, and he sat there and he's like, plastic B&M bag behind him. I'm like, there you go, shopping at B&M as well. It just made me laugh to myself. Do you know what I mean? Because it is that normality. But because Simon's just put, you need to meet Paul face to face to see how genuine he is. I've met Paul about 4 or 5 times, and the last time I met him, we went up to Bempton. He was on the cliff tops and that, and he is such a really genuine, nice guy. He just says it as it is. He doesn't. No BS, nothing like that. He just, what you see is what you get. And he's just...
I love people like that.
Yeah.
Like, I was hanging on Sunday. Did you see the pictures? I got to go to John Zappa's.
With Brian.
Oh, yeah, we were with him on Saturday. But,
Oh, yeah.
But
forget
Sunday,
him.
No, it was good. It was a good event. But I'm talking about the haunted collector, John Zappis. He's Ed and Lorraine Warren's nephew. We got to go see his collection of haunted objects on Sunday.
Oh.
But he's one of those people who's just the nicest, most down. He knows everybody in the paranormal.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, there from the beginning of the whole paranormal TV boom. But he is just the most sweet, genuine person.
Yeah.
And he has
Does he have the haunted Annabelle doll?
No, Annabelle is in Nesper's museum.
Okay.
I thought Zach Baggins had Annabelle. I told you couldn't speak. And
I don't think they're going to give Annabelle.
What's the other one? Robert the doll. He's got Robert the doll as well, I think.
No, he doesn't have Robert. Isn't Robert in Florida?
I'm sure Zach's got him over in Vegas.
Really?
I might be. Oh, he's got a version of it. I'm sure he has. He's got everything else in there. He may as well have that.
Yeah, he's in Florida at the East Martello Museum.
Oh, I definitely read some point this year that it was in Baggins' museum.
Let's see.
Unless he was loaning it or something, I don't know.
He might have been maybe loaned. I don't know.
Possibly, I don't know. Yeah, Simon's put it's in Key West.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, Matt.
Do the Warrens not have a niece that's quite involved in the paranormal as well? Do the Warrens not have a niece that's quite involved in the paranormal as well? I know you're talking about that gentleman there, but I was hearing about there's another member of the Warren family.
Not that I know of. John's their nephew, and they have a son-in-law who's running the museum now, Nesper.
Okay.
Yeah, the son-in-law Tony.
There were some good movies actually. I remember watching the
country movies. Yeah.
I don't know any of these names. I just know of the movies, and then someone will say a name, and it's like I've heard it, but I don't know who it is. Sorry.
Isn't it weird how like the people who are really big here are not like really big there, and like vice versa? Like I don't know half the people you talk about. Like I've never heard of these people.
Yeah.
I guess it helps because like, I don't get starstruck when they're on from the UK, and you don't get starstruck when they're on from the US.
No, I hide it well, so that's it. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, this is for Mark, Nicole, not for you. Sorry.
So if you had my son came in, my son went to Brazilian class, so this is his first ever first BJJ class. So he just came in and started shouting. I was like, "Be quiet."
Right. So first question for you. So I know I probably asked you last time, but because everything was so hazy, I've definitely forgot 90% of what happened over that 24-hour period. How did you get involved with Chris? Because I know you do like the more sensitive side to paranormal, don't you?
I do. So try to research UFO cases when they come. But getting back to how I know Chris, I used to be a member of a group called West Lothian Paranormal. So West Lothian is a region in Scotland, and it actually borders Edinburgh. So Edinburgh is the capital of Scotland, and if you go to slightly west, there's West Lothian, and West Lothian Paranormal. They did a lot of like doing the usual ghost investigations in West Lothian to start with, and then they moved around to different places in Edinburgh and all over Scotland. So we had psychics, for example, and we were doing these sort of investigations that you do in normal haunted houses, for example, or haunted locations. And I remember the lady who ran it, she asked, what does everybody think about what the most haunted places in West Lothian are? And Chris, who had never heard of before, messaged to say Ravenscraig. Now, Ravenscraig is about 1.5 miles from where I live. It's actually closer to me than it is to Chris.
Yeah.
And I'd been there before and never really thought anything of it. And generally, you get a lot of people that message, and you get a couple of silly replies or people that are maybe slightly into it. But I thought, no, Chris seems to be quite interested in this. So we started a Zoom call, and this was before we started the Scottish Paranormal podcast, and found out Chris lived about 5 miles away from where I lived, and he lived in a town called Armadale. And if you ever listen to any of the initial podcast, you'll hear that there's lots and lots of places, lots of UFO accounts from Armadale or a place called the Bathgate Hills. So the Bathgate Hills are they start off in West Lothian. They're in West Lothian. They're a small hill range, and funnily enough, they're near a town called Bathgate, which is Bathgate's. There's not much in Bathgate, but David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, he's from there, and Susan Boyle lives there as well. So do you remember from Britain's Got Talent?
Yeah.
It's so I've heard. So anyway, 2020 came, and this was about COVID time, and I started hearing a few accounts from Bathgate as well, the Bathgate Hills, sorry. And at that time, Chris put his podcast and was speaking to people in and around the area, and I was also speaking to people. And I'm thinking, this is really weird, and I don't know why, but Chris. I was actually invited onto Chris's podcast, the Scottish Paranormal podcast, as a guest, and then he invited me to co-host, and I was really honoured to do it because he gets some nice good names in some interesting podcasts, and it's really good. So I've just been co-hosting it on a few shows. So we've done Jim Segala together. We were meant to do one last week. However, I'm studying counselling just now. Yeah. And that's been it really. He's invited me on, and we have very similar interests. And from time to time we'll meet up in at some of the more busier locations. So this maybe formed a friendship from meeting each other up and speaking to each other, having that sort of shared like passion for the same things. Basically, that's why we started getting together basically. And it's funny because he'll get a Bigfoot sighting from the Bathgate Hills, and I'll get a Bigfoot sighting as well. So by combining resources, we're starting to get a bit more, accounts and a bit more stories from the region.
So has he? I'm guessing he has. Has he spoke to you about the Silver Man or the Grey Man? Because that seems to be his big. That's his big thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So where the Silver Man happened, that's in the Bathgate Hills. And there's the kind of the epicenter is this henge. So you get Stonehenge, for example, the world famous megalith site. Well, there's a few henges in Scotland, not that many, but Cairnpapel is a henge, and unusually on a hill, which is quite bizarre for a henge structure. And about half a mile. Even if that, there's this woodland called Ravens Craig, the one that Chris mentioned when I got speaking to him. And in the 80s, there was a family, a chap called David Coleman. Sorry about the dog, by the way. This is Jarvis. This is Jarvis. I think he's a bit of a attention-seeking dog, and. So in the 80s, I think it was 86, there was a family driving down that road, and they saw this being running alongside alongside the car, near the woodland, basically. And so that's part of Bathgate Hills. And then, as you probably know, Chris has actually had his own encounters there. He got that Oz factor.
Yeah, when he was out running, wasn't he?
Running. The hills are crazy. That place is really? Mental. Oh yeah. I wouldn't say I'm psychic, but there's certainly sometimes you can sense things, and there's we can go there to Ravens Craig. Oh, Jarvis, get down! Come on, jump on. He's actually he's sneezing on me, which is
I noticed. I thought it's not going to last much longer now.
Yeah. So you must be allergic to me. That's what it is. So you can just, the energy there is just really intense. I've had encounters. Now these are second-hand encounters where campers have tried to stay there overnight, and things have kind of like heard footsteps and kind of been bothered by some sort of strange force actually in the woodland, basically. And it's, even when I went there by myself, I didn't know the place. There's a specific area, and you just feel a bit uneasy. And there's definitely an unusual unusual energy to this. And this is not just me that's saying that. There's other people that have said the exact same thing. So the Bathgate Hills is the place that we really try to keep our eye on. I was there just on Monday with a psychic, and I'll be going back there Monday. So it's a really interesting place.
Yeah. So do you and Chris go out investigating together?
No, we haven't done that yet. But what we do try to do is we do try to tell each other of each other's accounts. So if I go investigating, I'll tell Chris who I'm speaking to, if I'm allowed to, by the witness.
Yeah.
Generally, if it's somebody that I'd like to pursue the case with, I'll speak to Chris about it, and and Chris does the same with me as well. So we tell each other what we're doing. Basically, I've got a really good account coming up soon, where a guy was stalked by a wolfman for a period of miles, and he was going. Yeah, it's and the guy's completely legit. He's a really nice guy. Met him a few times, and he's an honest guy and a really, really nice guy as well. And he was walking between two towns in Fife region. It's a region of Fife in Scotland. And for anybody that's in America, Fife is the county where St Andrews, where Will and Kate went to university, and where it's famous for golf.
Yeah.
And while he was walking home from a town called Kirkcaldy. He was going to another town called Leven. I think that's about 5 miles roughly. And he saw this wolfman like staring at him from the field. And as he walked in past like a lamppost and a light, the wolfman would stop just before it got to light. And it kept on doing that every time it got to a lamppost over and over again for about 2 or 3 miles. And it would just stop. And what was weird is there's a river called the River Leven. Yeah, sorry, I used to live there. I can't remember the name of the I can't remember the name of the river, but it seemed to just traverse the river without a bridge. It just seemed to appear just at the edge of the light from the lamppost and nowhere else. And it was really intimidating. It never attacked the witness, but it did just kind of have this very menacing feel to it. So that's a phenomenal account, and I'm hoping to get the witness on the Scottish Paranormal podcast in a couple of weeks' time, actually, with Chris. So
cool.
Yeah. So accounts like that, for example, I'll let them know. During the Northern Lights, for example, we got loads of accounts. We got about half a dozen accounts in that one night when the Northern Lights were shown.
Yeah.
And what I did is I shared that data with Chris, and I'll always do that. I'm generally quite open and share my data with people. So that's what we tend to do.
Cool. So I've got a question for both of you now. So were you saying about this wolfman? It kept stopping at the light. At any point, if this creature, I'm not saying it wasn't real, but if this creature was real, it could have took this guy out straight away without any hesitation whatsoever. Why do you think that they don't do it and they just try and intimidate? What do you think the reasoning behind it all is?
I don't have enough information to speculate, and the witness as well has spoken to me about this at length.
Yeah,
and said exactly that. This thing could have taken me out, no bother at all.
Yeah,
it just seemed to be really menacing. I don't know why. I know people like Paul Sinclair, going back to Paul, will talk about maybe trying to induce states of fear.
Yeah.
But I couldn't answer that, Andy. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, Nicole. Because there's a lot of like the dogman sightings over in the US, and like where they're chasing up by the side of the car. And I know there's been reports where the car's hit this creature, or even it's running alongside and it's reaching out trying to grab the door handle, or it's at the house and it's tapping on the door, or like just with its finger just trying to pull the handle. Surely it could just beat through the glass, walk straight in, and do what it's going to do. Might be vegan. Shut up, Simon. But do you know what I mean? At any point,
that fear factor, you know, the like maybe rather than feeding off people like physically, it's kind of that psychic vampire thing where it's feeding off that fear energy.
So then, do you think if it is like a lot of people say it's feeding off the fear, and I've never really understood that, is that fear then, as going back to like a lot of stuff in the paranormal, is that fear giving out a frequency? I don't mean like the sound, like the frequencies, let's say 42 hertz or whatever, which is that fear, what they put in horror movies and all that kind of stuff. I don't mean like that, but if it's got an actual frequency that they can ingest, do you think that could be a thing?
There's going to be a lot of times I say I don't know. Unfortunately, I genuinely don't know. But one I can give you.
Got a clue.
Yeah, one thing I'll be as honest as I can be with things. I said this on Paul Sinclair's show, and the reason why I said it to Paul was when he wrote it in The Night People, it reminded me of a lot of things. And I thought if he's willing to be honest in a book, I need to be honest if I go into his podcast. So now I've kind of let the genie out. I'll tell you one thing that happened to me as I was growing up. So as I said, my youngest son is severely on the autistic spectrum, but it seems to run in the family. And so I've not got an official diagnosis, but my mother was a special needs teacher for 30 years. And she said, Mark, you're autistic. So although it's not official, I can kind of, I'm taking it as gospel of my own mother. Telling me autistic. She also told me I'm a pain in the arse, but I don't believe that. And the one thing I found was if it's due to boredom or stress, especially when I was young, I really don't know if this is normal or not. I just my way of what my lived experience. But like, say for example, I see my son nowadays, and he goes to this like it's like he'll clap his hands, or he'll smack a table or something.
Yeah,
I could remember what it was like because I used to get this like pent up emotion, and I never would have to slap something, but I remember having to get it out in my own way. It's like processing the information, processing the emotion. I don't know if that's normal or not, or everybody does that. But I found when that happened, the phenomenon when I grew up was like really close, and it was really loud. I would make myself really like noticeable to me, to the point that whatever I was doing, like it would almost be like, imagine you're cringing, you're like, ugh. It was like that, but with emotion. And I had to stop doing that because the phenomenon was just getting so close. And it was just like, it was almost like somebody right next to me was walking, even though I couldn't see anybody. And so I wonder if there is something to do with how we experience emotions or experience states like fear or love or happiness that attracts them to them. That's the best I can give you, but I just don't know. I wish I did have all the answers, but I have zero answers, if I'm honest with you.
No, you've still got more than me with zero, so it's I like this is because I'm going to ask Matt. I'll let you ask Matt the question, Nicole. The ultimate question.
Oh, the question?
The question, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to do it now and then I'll explain later?
Yeah. Okay, so if you could know everything about the paranormal, every question you have answered, you know it all, would you want to know?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Another one for Team Yes.
Oh, we need to keep account of,
I know, we do.
yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
No, because the reason we ask this is because I like to know certain stuff, but not everything. Because I think once we know everything, there's nothing else to gain from that. You kind of like, oh, well, what's next? So you know all the rules, all the laws, everything, the connections, the patterns, everything there is to do with the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And once you find out, it's like, what else is there then to move on to? So I like the guessing. I like the mystery of it, and like Scooby Doo, like the cartoon where they're trying to work out who's under the mask. It's that for me that I enjoy about it, and keep getting it wrong.
I want to know everything because I feel like once you know everything, there's going to be more questions that you have.
Yes.
Yeah, but
more things you can find out.
True, but I don't know.
I agree with you, Nicole. I think that, I think that when we know everything about paranormal, I think that there will be a level of knowledge of things like consciousness, science, that is so profound that we'll have a new set of questions that we'll need to know about. That's my hope anyway. I totally agree with you though, Andy, that if we know everything, then the mystery, the spice of life goes out the window.
Yeah. What would they do on a Wednesday and Friday night once we know?
No.
That's nothing. There's nothing, is there?
No, I'd have to be watching Love Island or
no. I think that sleep. I'd rather sleep.
But once you know the what, then you can dig into the whys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, suppose.
You can get all philosophical on it.
Yeah.
I met a professor of psychology just in Dundee. He's an emeritus professor and he has a passing interest in parapsychology. And he was one of these chaps that, is so clever, like Professor Dumbledore, but is a bit mad as well, but in a nice way. And we were talking about just things like consciousness, for example, and I'm pretending that I'm really knowledgeable and I know everything, and it's just basically what I could actually grasp from 5 minutes of looking on Wikipedia, but it was just how profound it was, like how many different areas does the paranormal actually touch. Like we could talk about psychology or physics or anything basically, and it just I don't think we'll ever know all the answers, but certainly it's the giving, by seeking them out, we gain so much, so enrich our life, and not just the enrichment of the life, it's also the people that we meet and come on the journey as well. That for me is the main part.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's the people really that make this paranormal community what it is.
Oh yeah.
But you notice I said community, not field?
Yes, because you got told off the same field.
Because now I'm understanding things.
Yes. We're learning new words and new phrases terminology.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the guests that we've had on is Brandon Thomas. I don't know if you know him.
No,
he does Expanding Reality podcast, and he does a lot of like wordsmith stuff. So he doesn't say. So he explains. So understanding means you. So say the police pulled you over and like the explaining something to you, and then they go, "Do you understand?" Straight away, you should say no, because if you say yes, you're putting yourself forward that you stand under them, and that you're giving them the authority to do whatever they want, pretty much. So if you say understand, that means you're on a level with them. You're not under them. You're at the same margin, sort of thing.
I understand.
Yeah, and it is, once you get it in your head, I've noticed I do say it a lot more now. I avoid the word understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't use it. I only then to explain it. So there's that. And then Nicole, you were talking to Brian Kano, weren't you? Kano. And you were saying about the paranormal field. I'll let you explain, because obviously I wasn't there.
You were there. It was on the show.
Oh, well, I thought you did it afterward, before.
No, it was on the show.
Oh, I've slept since. Sorry.
We're talking about people in the field, and he said that's not really accurate, because to be in the paranormal field,
yes,
is more a scientific thing. Like, you're researching the data, you're, doing this kind of on a more database level rather than people in the paranormal community.
Yeah,
that's a good point. The words are a strange one. Like, I'm not the best at English, as you can probably tell, but my mum, for example, loves Countdown.
Yeah,
it's a TV show, and she's actually been on it as well. Actually,
oh, is she?
Yeah. So Countdown,
cool.
it's a letter and numbers game, Nicole, and it's massively popular. It's been on TV for 40 odd years.
Oh, yeah.
And they have one segment each day where they actually talk about origins of words, and it is actually massively complex. Not that I watch it too often. I'm not very good at it, but it's such a complex field that nobody ever thinks about it. It's lexicography. It is quite interesting from what I see.
Yeah, it's like Scrabble, but a TV version of Scrabble. So you get a lot of time, you get 9 letters, and you've got to try and make the longest word. And you get these kids on, and I mean kids like 14, 15-year-old, and they've got this word. You can't even say it. And for you to know that word, you'd also have to know the meaning of it. It's not just a random guess. And it's like, yeah, I'd get a 2-letter word every time, if that.
Yeah.
And then they do numbers. I'm pretty good on the numbers one, but not the letters now.
Yeah. I'm the same. I've got a touch of dyslexia as well, so that gives me a So I according to my application forms, I live in the Untied Kingdom. So
yeah. Oh no, it is. I'm glad we can laugh about it, because a lot of people don't. They take it too serious, I think.
Yes.
And
you've got to take it. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't. It's not that I don't take it seriously. I'm not going to make myself out to be let it define who I am. I'm just going to. I've got issues, and everybody's got issues. Like, one thing I've learned since doing counselling is that nobody is problem free, and
hide it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So it's So we've all got our problems. I think to accept it and to understand it, not to I don't want to say embrace it, but certainly then work on it and just do what you can. That's all you can do. Yeah. Can I be rude? My son's clearly left the cooker on and gone away and ate his food. Can I just be one moment just to?
Of course you can. Yeah. Should we do a little sing song? I'll sing. You can dance.
Yes, sing. Okay, you sing. Go ahead.
No.
What are you singing, ABBA?
I really don't want that.
No, we're going to do Christmas carols for the Christmas special.
Yeah. Oh, so I was saying, because I did a show with Tommy earlier. It was just a bit off the cuff. We kind of planned it, but I just kept it on a post-it note, and it didn't get any further than that. So then we did it at like 4:15 this afternoon. So I've got a load of books here where I'm going to read the ghost stories, like different stories from. So it would just be easier, but we're going to be drinking. So drinking
Sorry, guys.
and trying to read. No, you're okay. So drinking and trying to read on the Christmas special is just.
Are we drinking when you hit a buzzword in the book?
Yeah. So I said you're going to do Andy Bingo.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to try and win it this time. So
you won last time.
No, I was free away, wasn't I?
Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know what you consider winning. Do you consider winning if you don't hit them all, or if you do?
No, I think now get a full house. Either way.
All right.
Yeah. So Nicole does this thing when we do a special of trigger words. So there's certain things that I will go on and on about. Yeah. So there's one, I'm going to say it because I've seen it in the chat before. So there's bench guy, this helicopter, this ghost post. There's loads of different ones that it's all related to stuff that we've done throughout since Nicole came on the show.
Okay.
And there's stuff before, but it's like now Nicole's involved. So she has a sheet and she writes it all down. And every time I say one of them, she'll cross it off. And she called it Andy Bingo.
There's apparently some people play games when they're in meetings. They'll actually deliberately put in words to say just to so that their friend can actually pick up on them. Is that what you guys do? Like you put
well, I used to. Simon in the chat and Baby with a Laser. I speak to them quite regular, and we have conversations throughout the day, and they'll say something like a phrase or something. I said, right, I'll try and get that in, but I've not done it for a while.
Yeah.
So I'll do that, and I'll just sit there and like just smile to myself, and then that's it. I'm just happy that I've fitted it in without it sounding out of place.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen that weather guy? Either of you who puts lyrics in the weather?
No.
So they give him a song, and he has to like work it into his weather report.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll send you guys a link to one later. It's really funny because he does it like so it actually fits. Like it doesn't seem like he's saying weird things.
Right. So it's seamless.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, we could try that one day. Right. We've got a question for you, Mark. I've got a couple of questions as well, so it's all good. Well, I'm saying it's all good. They might be the worst questions you've ever been asked. Right. So this is from Og, Elaine, our moderator. She's put, Mark, are a lot of your paranormal experiences on your own or with others?
Mostly on my own. So the big ones have mostly been on my own. There's been a couple of exceptions. The big ones I had were growing up in Dundee. Dundee's the fourth biggest city in Scotland, and it has a population of about 150,000. And I live relatively close to this football or the soccer stadiums. And just for context, the two football stadiums are the closest in the UK and a couple of the closest in Europe, because essentially Dundee's on pretty much a hill. So there's just for where it's really can find some flat land to put the two stadiums, and I live not too far away from them. And the very first time I saw a UFO was I saw it by myself, but I brought in a friend of mine. We were very close, we're like family, and then most of the time growing up between 91 and 2002, I would see UFOs. Not often, but I did see them quite a lot. I see about 20 or 30 times in that area. And then there was other things like things that would happen in the house, and that was almost exclusively by myself. So there's been a couple of times with other people, but mostly it's on my own.
Yeah. Cool. So saying that, with all the different types of phenomena in the world of paranormal, if you had to choose like one subject out of everything, so whether it's ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, conspiracies, whatever, that's the only four that I can think of at the moment. What if you had to go down one of them paths, which one would you choose? And so that'd be like you could choose one and that's it forever.
I would love to do things like afterlife, because the one thing that I find is that, well, the very first time I had a real, like, proper paranormal experience is with what I thought was an angel. It's a long story, but that, regardless of, it's given me a great deal of hope that there's, like, maybe a heaven and, like, something to look forward to, like, that you're going to meet the people that you love after you die. And certainly, if there was something like that to investigate and to see what's in the other side, that would bring me immense reassurance.
Yeah.
However, it's probably the thing I investigate the least. But yeah, it's things like angels, for example. I would probably do things like angels or life after death.
Yeah. Yeah. Nicole, what would you choose?
Ghosts.
I knew it. I didn't even have to ask for that.
It's my bread and butter. I love the ghosts.
Yeah. Well, I was saying this to Tommy earlier. It's like I've gone from paranormal to more UFOs and cryptids, because I think because you cover like the haunted, the paranormal, paranormal as in ghosts, poltergeist, and all that kind of stuff. And my first ever encounters, the first one what I can recall was some sort of light being, and then after that it was UFOs. There was a few ghost and like paranormal, poltergeist activity, but that didn't seem to have the same effect on me as what the UFOs and all that did. It just seems a lot more. The UFO stuff was more intense, so that's why I've kind of gone down that path.
There's something, it's very intense when you've got, like, I don't know about yourself, Andy, but I find that there's, like, maybe you'll see a moving star and you could pass it off as being a satellite. Sometimes they're not. There's sometimes you can see them in a maneuver that's not like that, and it's like it's an interesting spectacle to watch. But if they get really close and weird things seem to happen with the environment or space.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it's very intense. Yeah. So I can see where you are. One thing I'm just wondering about, you're saying about you saw the light being and then you saw UFOs. I saw what I thought that was the angel encounter in 91. I would imagine it would be, again, this is well over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's maybe like April to June sort of time. And I saw the UFO. It must have been winter time because it was dark early. So maybe October, November time. And it was maybe about 4, 5, 6 months in between them. Is that something similar to what you saw? You saw the light being and then you saw the UFOs?
Yeah. So the first one, I'll just quickly, because it's today's for you. So I was laying in bed. And my mum used to put me in her bed because I was always hot. So she'd use me as a water bottle to warm the bed up. Then when my mum and dad come to bed, she'd take me out, put me in my room. They get in bed, and the bed was up against the wall. It was all fields and that at the back. There was a street, but it was like at an angle, so you couldn't really see it. And I've actually found a picture. It's not a photograph, but I found it when I was researching some stuff, and this is what I seen on the wall. It was only about 4 or 5 inches. And it looked identical to one of these. So on the old turntable, you got the vinyl record, and it's playing, and the light comes in and bounces off it, and then it reflects up on the wall, and it's just going round in a pattern all the time. It was that, and one of them. And I was about 4 years old, so this would be about 1977. It's between 76 and 78. But I only remember that is because where I grew up in Manchester, there was the house that we lived, there was modernising it because pre that we didn't have central heating. So they was going around putting central heating in. So they moved us out for 3 months while they refitted all the radiators and pipes. And then we had the choice of whether to move back or stay in the house that we was in. But my mum didn't like that part of the town where we were staying. So she goes, no, we'll go back to where we was, because like a little cul-de-sac, only 10 houses, and we was like tucked right in the corner. So I remember it was either just before or just after that. So that's the only way that I can remember what year it was.
Yeah, it's, that's interesting. It's interesting that something started like some sort of being, and then it was UFOs.
Well, then my first UFO, or what I think it was my first UFO, this happened about 3-4 years later, was the next street down from the house where I grew up. I was out on my bike, I looked up and it was there. Don't know how long it was there. Put my head down because getting cramped, looked back up and it gone. That's the short story, because we'll be here all day otherwise.
I think that picture that you showed, like, I don't know why, but those give me like fairy vibes.
Do they?
Yeah.
They was identical to that. There was no, you can kind of see a shape, like what looks like head and arms or wings and legs or whatever. But it's like, do you know when you shine a light on water and it bounces back? It's got that that watery water effect. I was going to say that light, watery light effect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the thing, I didn't scream, I didn't shout down to my parents or nothing. I just lay in bed, I was laying beside, I was just looking at it, and it's just going. Do you know, like you get a music box, and they've got the ballerina that goes around. Not that I had one of them, by the way. It kind of reminded me of that, because I was just lay there, I was just looking at it, and just drifted off to sleep.
We have a question from Og.
Yeah.
Why was your 1999 experience with the clouds going past more traumatic than any other?
Okay, right. That was not nice. No, it was so just for a bit of background, between 91 and 2002, there was always things happening. It was like there'd be like poltergeist activity in the house or hammering in the house, for example. I think there was some moving stars, but they would do like strange maneuvers. There wouldn't be satellites. And then 96, 97, 98, there was quite a lot of activity. And then 99, I was taking the dog out, and where I lived, there was a bit of an old, it was just a disused bit of land, and everybody called it the field. And at that time, it was just grassland. It's not anymore. Nowadays, it's got a lot of trees in it. But at the time, it was absolutely flat. And what I call the knowing, it's like sometimes I can sense whatever the phenomena is close by. And it's like it's a really strong feeling. It's like you feel it in your chest that they're there. Yeah. And I think the best way to describe it is you're married or you're engaged or whatever, and then you've said to your partner, I've been out for an hour, I'll be out for an hour, and then 10 hours later you're heading home and you've got the knowing that you're about to be in trouble. You like it's the same that you get. It's like, oh no. And I just felt this knowing that these things are here. So it was incredibly strong, that feeling. So I put the dog back to the house, and then I went back into where the field is, and there was a small path, and I got to the middle, so essentially in the middle of this field, and it wasn't very far. I could be out the field in just 30 seconds or so. It wasn't that much. And all of a sudden, things started to become just a bit weird. Reality didn't seem right, didn't feel, it felt more like had more of a dreamlike substance to it.
Yeah.
And then one part of the sky became this like purplish blue color, another side became this pinkish red, and then this light, it was like almost like a flashlight, but it wasn't going down the ground. It was pointing from like a westernly direction point fire over to an easterly direction. And then, so it wasn't a UFO, it was the environment had changed into this weird sort of universe. And then above that colour, I could see the clouds moving much, much faster. So imagine you're sitting on a summer's day and you watch the clouds moving really just slowly in gust with no wind. And then imagine in your mind doing that 20 times faster. They just moved at a speed that there was no way they were able to move normally.
Yeah.
And it felt like time was being sped up. And the reason why I got scared was it just felt so immensely vulnerable when I was in that field. Now, I was there for a good few minutes because I remember trying to call my friend and I never got him. So I must have been there for 3 or 4 minutes. But eventually, I just couldn't take it anymore. That sense of vulnerability was just so intense that I ran away. And do you know, like people get that sort of mind speak?
Yeah.
It was like that, but it was almost like a feeling like something was disappointed, and they were saying, "You shouldn't have run."
Oh,
and it was like, and I felt really bad, so I went back in. But whatever the connection had been severed, and that was it. So I can't remember much happening after 1999 until they came back in 2002. And it was like something had been damaged that night. It was like it wasn't ever the same. It wasn't ever as intense as that before.
Yeah.
But it was the reason, answering the question, it was the immense feeling of vulnerability. They literally changed the universe. They literally changed space and time.
Yeah.
And it just was too... It was just in front of that power that I just felt like I'm so vulnerable that I ran away.
Yeah. No, do you think it was some sort of dimensional shift? Sorry.
My view, I don't know. What I believe, I've got a batshit crazy. I'm sorry, is that all right to
Yeah,
say
you're
that?
fine. Swear away. Yeah.
I've got a batshit crazy theory. I'll explain why I have a batshit crazy theory in a second. It's not sort of. I believe that what we're doing is we've been put into a universe. Almost like what's happening is we're being put into like a pocket universe with the phenomena.
Yeah.
And the reason why I believe that was because in 2002 sighting, somebody I know really well and who had experiences in the exact same area drove their car. They went to see their mothers and they're driving back. And as soon as they got to that area, the show, it was actually quite like what you were showing there, Andy, but imagine in the sky, at least 300 or 400 feet, and there's 10 of them. And when that guy came over, the thing just snapped and went away. That's very reminiscent of what I would believe to be superposition, where if you look in quantum computing or quantum physics, that is exactly the same as Schrödinger's cat. Essentially, what happens is that the phenomena and I are essentially in this black box, and then when somebody else comes and observes it, it broke the box. So that's why. So because somebody else came over and snapped, and the magic snapped, that is very reminiscent of that. That's made me think it might be something to do with sort of being in a sort of a universe, an encapsulated universe with the phenomenon. So the phenomenon actually both the cat. If you look at Schrödinger's experiment, the cat is both the phenomenon is actually acting as a cat, and in some cases as well, the outside observer as well. So it shows you how immensely complex, if I'm right, the phenomena is. So that's what I think. Yeah.
And about the phenomena, do you think that all of the paranormal is part of one phenomena or one being with different masks, or do you think they're all actually different things?
The more I get into it, I think it's more related. Certainly when in like 97, 98, when I was seeing unusual things in the sky almost every day, I would walk back and there'd be poltergeist activity. And a thing I'm really trying to get into is things like ley lines or energy lines. And certainly some researchers, there's a really good guy in up north in Scotland who has been researching ley lines extensively, believes that things like UFOs and poltergeist and other ghostly activity seem to be related. So that's the theory that seems to resonate with me more than anything else. And I think there is some sort of relation or some sort of relation between them.
Yeah. Yeah, because my question is what if all this phenomena that we're like at the moment where we are now, we're being tested and seeing who's open and who's not, who's going to accept it and who isn't, and gearing us up for what comes next. It's like a bit of a taster to see if you can handle it, and then once we go over to the next phase, boom in your face, sort of thing.
I had it a bit different.
Possible?
No, not quite. By the way, sorry guys, I rolled over my glasses, so they're all squint and they're falling about. So, it's don't adjust your sets. I really genuinely do look like this. But it's no. The very first time I saw a UFO, it was winter 1991.
Yeah,
and imagine somebody had a flash from a camera. It was like that, but white in the sky. Then another one, and then this circular disc, almost like a pancake. Then UFO just flew right over my neighbour's house, and it was darting about within an area of maybe about 6 feet. It wasn't, but it was like it was almost like it was near the toilet. So it was just like dancing about, like it was just it wouldn't stop moving. It was very, very erratic. It was just but the very first time it was up close, right in my face, and so it was the other way around. What actually happened? It came close to me to start off with, but another encounter I had in 1996, they got just a bit too close, and they really frightened me. And because of the fear after that, they seemed to keep their distance because they realised they'd clearly frightened me. So it was the opposite way, Andy.
Right, got you. So I've not heard that before. They're like, I suppose, like not wanting to scare you off. In a way, it's like there was looking out for your safety, I suppose.
Well, yeah, it's funny because it was almost like I've interpreted that act as benevolence, because there was a few minor things that happened, but the big ones, the big encounters were 91, 96, then a wave of encounters in 97, 98, then the massive one with the moving clouds in 99, and then 2002, and then it wasn't anything until 2016. But the 96 was when I was stalked by a UFO. It kept on following me down my street. I was changing shape and letting out light, and then kind of going back into a more invisible state. And it kept itself really close to me. It was like, say you're walking down a street, it was just above the house of every house I was walking past.
Yeah,
and it was just a few feet above the chimneys, basically, and I was setting off like the security lights as it went down.
Wow.
And
so something physical.
Yeah. So there must have been some sort of like heat signature or something infrared that it was giving off for it to happen. So that's and then when it kind of stopped, we live in a kind of my parents still live in a kind of a crossroads, and when they got to where the crossroads are, they changed from this mostly invisible thing to a circle made of smaller circles, and it was expanding and contracting. And it was expanded right into my garden, and I was like, okay, ran back in, then ran back out again, and then ran back in, ran back out, and I was like, Do you know, I was trying to like. To be honest, I'm really making myself sound like not very brave, but fear just got to me so much that I just ran back in. I said, "No, that's it. I'm staying in now. I can't go out. It was too frightening." And then days afterwards, the security light on one of my neighbours' houses went on and off, and even to walk past that to just walking out of the house took an immense amount of courage. It was really frightening knowing that that thing was there, and it was just hovering just outside my house, almost waiting for me. It was it was quite scary. But again, that was late 1996, or like late December 96. But it was a frightening encounter. But after that, they always stayed away. After that.
Why do you think it's following you? Like, if you had to guess.
Sorry, Nicole?
Why do you think it was following you? If you had to guess.
So this happened over 6 nights. There was 4 nights, or 3 or 4 nights of my neighbour's lights going on and off. But the first 2 nights, so the first night I saw it, it was like, imagine it was over an old yard, an old junkyard, and it was. I find it hard to describe. So the way I see it in my mind is, you're on a campfire and you can see smoke going up. Now imagine there was a cloud of smoke. There was no campfire, just a cloud of smoke that made almost like a cloud of maybe 3 or 4 feet high and 6 feet wide, something around those dimensions. And that was it. It was just, there was no fire. It was just that. And it was, I like the pancake-shaped disc. It was moving highly erratically. And I walked past it when I was taking the dog out for a walk. And I could see it. And I just kept on walking. And it didn't seem to notice me. It just kept on doing what it was doing. And I've wondered for a long time. I was actually a bit naughty, but I was underage drinking. I went to the pub before. I had a couple of beers. And I've always wondered, could maybe the alcohol have affected its ability to sense me or not? I really don't know. Yeah. It's just but anyway, I walked past it. I can remember seeing it. I kept on. I tried to pretend not to stare at it because I didn't want it to notice me. And then I walked past it, and that was it. And then the next night it saw me, and then it followed me down the street. So I wonder if it was doing something at that location where it was. And when it noticed that I could see it, it almost like, again, this is just my hypothesis. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really expect to be seen and got quite shocked that I could see it. And that's when it followed me down the street. So that's my thoughts behind it anyway.
That's very interesting. That.
Yeah, the alcohol.
But with it, once it noticed that you'd noticed it as well, because like you said, having the alcohol could have had some. Don't know. Maybe you got a tracker inside you and it stopped it. Like an implant.
I do suspect in '99 that there was an abduction. I remember waking up one day with a pain in my right finger. And I've still got the scar to this day on my finger. Yeah. But that was 3 years later. I have no knowledge. And again, I can't remember any form of abduction or any form. And from memory, I can't remember being out that night. I just remember waking up on a normal weekday with a pain in my finger that went away after about 30 or 40 minutes. I really don't remember any form of abduction before that, I don't have any suspected knowledge of being abducted before that. So potentially, but I really don't know.
Wow, that is very interesting.
It is.
Right. Are we all right to go on a quick break?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Is that okay? I need to use the bathroom and I don't want to be rude or anything. So do you want to do 2 or 5 minutes? Your call.
I'm happy with it. Whatever, maybe 5.
We'll do 5. All right then. Right, we'll see you in 5. So get your questions ready in part 2 to ask for Mark. We have got a couple in there already, but the more the merrier. So we'll see you in 5 minutes. Bye bye. Hello, and we are back.
There's not like a countdown on that one.
I know. There is on the 2-minute one. I thought I'd put it on that one, but I didn't. Sorry. But no, I wanted to play that as well because Baby with a Laser, aka Darren, that's him. He wrote that, and that's him playing it. It's his own music. So much appreciated, Darren, for letting me use it for the show. Thank you. As long as I don't get any copyright issues, it's all good. No, it's fine. So yeah, that's it. Oh, but yeah, just needed that quick break. Sorry, guys. Yeah. We have got a couple more questions. So sorry, there it is. So this is a question from Daryl Stanley, and they want to know. This is for all of you. Do you think orbs are ghosts, cryptids, fairy, or could be all of them, or UFOs also? Who wants to go first?
I think Mark should go first.
I'm not a believer that all orbs are dust. There's sometimes I believe that some orbs do have sort of have some sort of intelligence to them. I would closely associate them more with ghosts. So certainly when I'm in haunted locations, or even in my old house, for example, I would see a lot of orbs. So yeah, I would say they're more closely related to ghosts. If you look at people like Kyle, for example, with the skull experiment, he believes there's quite a very close interconnectedness between things like UFOs and ghosts and orbs. However, I'm going to go closer to ghosts.
Thank you. Nicole?
I am going to say, I don't know, because I experience a lot of orbs with like ghost activity, spirit activity.
You have orbs behind you when you first started.
Not here because there's no behind you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm kind of prone to think like interdimensional something. Maybe like it's just energy.
See, I've actually got a theory. I don't know if I've said it out loud. Have I told you this before? So, here we go. I'll keep it as short as I can, but it might not work. So, my thought is, for something to become an orb, yeah? So, i.e. ball-like, 3-dimensional circle, sphere, or whatever you want to call it, right? If your energy and the quickest way to travel from point A to point B, I'm just going to step back. So if you get a square like that and throw it, it's not going to be very aerodynamic. But if you get a ball and throw it, it's just going to go through the air because it's constantly turning. So it's more aerodynamic because there's no sides. It's just one side all the way around. So if this energy is that intelligent, it can create itself into a ball-like shape and get from point A to point B the fastest way possible in a 3-dimensional realm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So if it was to make itself into a triangle or an oblong or any other shape, it wouldn't really work, would it? So I believe that it's whatever the energy is, it creates itself into this ball, and that's why we see these balls of light or balls of energy. But it's like Mark said, the majority are probably dust. But if you've got an orb that is, you can clearly see it's not that and it's something else, and it's traveling, it go a lot quicker, ball shape, than it would any other shape.
The only thing is that, what about like if it was for aerodynamic purposes, but not have like maybe more an arrow shape?
That might be too complex.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it, but Anna didn't think of that either. But I'm just thinking, if you throw something, like when you make a snowball, you throw it, you don't make any of your shape, do you? Balloons, footballs. Oh. I'm looking like at the sports. So you got baseball, other than American football and rugby, where they're elongated, but pretty much golf, baseball, reciprocate, and it's all. Do you know what I mean? So the ball just seems to be more adapt for that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I'm not saying it is that. It's just my belief that it's a possibility.
But a ball is what you get to, like a sphere, when like pressure from all sides is like.
So you can compact all that pressure and all that energy into an object, like you would, like with snow. You're making a snowball. You're pushing it together, and it creates a ball.
Kind of like what would happen in a black hole or a wormhole.
There you go. Electrons are spherical and energy. So
electrons are quite small.
Yeah, but if you got if you got that energy and pushed it together. But then saying that, the last orb I seen that I know was not anything normal was the shape of a car headlight unit, and it was in between some trees up near where I live. It was about 5 years ago.
Actually, talking about ball lightning, that actually came to my mind as well. And over here in the UK, we had, was it about April time, Andy? We had the Northern Lights quite visible.
Yes. Yeah,
and then about 6 weeks ago, we saw them again. And close to Dundee, my hometown, there was I have an account of somebody seeing ball lightning just for a few seconds before it disappeared. So I found that very interesting. There's just so much phenomenon happened around the Northern Lights.
Well, that's it, yeah. Because like with the ball lightning, some of it is ball lightning, but then if it's emitting its own light, unless you go over and touch it and try and grab it, and then it's not recommended because you'll probably die if it is ball lightning. Yeah. But if it was something else, you wouldn't know without that physical approach to it. But this thing that I seen going through the trees was the shape of like an old Ford Cortina headlamp unit. It was orange, like the old valve bulb, and it was just going in between the trees really slow. And then when I got level with it on the road, it gone, wasn't there. So it looked like it was flat. It was 2-dimensional, even though I could see it was 3-dimensional.
Had a weird orange or
and that was the ball.
Yeah, I've seen things like that before. Actually, they're odd.
Yeah.
Do you know what comes to my mind? And it's maybe a bit off tangent, but if you've ever done like Tai Chi, and they have a thing where you can wave your hands, you can almost feel like an energy ball in your hand.
I know of it. I've never done it.
Yeah, it's quite because it almost you can feel it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they actually don't know what causes ball lightning. I just searched it.
Yeah.
It does not know why ball lightning happens. So
ball lightning could not be ball lightning, regardless of what Ozzy Osbourne says.
Yes.
There's some beliefs there's some form of high energy plasma. So, like say for example, the plasma from the sun. But what's interesting, in Scotland, there's a number of islands. So there's about 800 islands, mostly situated towards the west. However, there's a large number of islands north called Orkney and Shetland. And Orkney is really it's quite remote. It's really quite beautiful, actually. And just by chance, we were driving along one day. We went into this artist shop, and it was actually a lady from New York, and she'd had several encounters with ball lightning in her life, and one of them actually came into her room, and I can't remember what she said it precisely, but she's also seen them in Orkney as well. The way she was describing them was something like it had some form of intelligence behind it. But yeah, I've never experienced ball lightning myself, so I don't really have. Yeah, I don't have too much information on it or anything to share really.
Yeah, they apparently have a lot of theories, but they can't prove or disprove any of them. So it's kind of like the paranormal. A lot of different theories, but none of them stick.
Yeah.
Nope. So I've seen different orbs. Alex Lovelock, you said he's on with him on Sunday on the lounge.
Yeah.
Well, I've met up with him a couple of times and gone to Rendlesham. And the first time we went, we stood at this tree, and there was two, probably about tennis ball size. I'd say orbs, but they were flat, and there was like zigzagging across the floor. And there's more hexagonal, but there's bright orange, like orange.
I've seen them. Yeah.
And that happened. So we seen it, and I thought, it's his watch reflecting off the sun and like going on the ground. But then I think he'd have to be hanging upside down in the tree and swinging his arm around just to create that effect. And then it happened again. And he went, "Did you see that then?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said to him, "Did you see the ones like a couple of minutes before?" He went, "Yeah, I thought it was you." And then we had the discussion about what we thought it was.
Yeah.
It was weird. Very weird.
I actually saw orange orbs in Dickmont. I saw one in the sky, quite a large one. Now, generally, with Dickmont Woods there is a flight path, but you never see aircraft with orange like main lights. Basically, they're always white. But I have actually seen those like orange orbs actually in Dickmont Woods as well. And there's a chap. It's funny. I keep on meeting him in the dark, so I couldn't actually tell you what he looks like. But we always keep on bumping into each other when it's dark in Dickmont Woods. And he says that we never seen. And he said that he's seen. I've met him a couple of times, and he said that he's seen UFOs with kind of orange lights in Dickmont Woods. Dickmont Woods, where Robert Taylor got abducted. It's only about a mile live. So yeah, I've seen those sort of orange orb lights in Dickmont Woods. So Dickmont is almost like the equivalent of Rendlesham in Scotland.
Right. Got you. See, the first time that I got an orange orb on, it's a still from a film, was at a place called Horton House in Bedfordshire. And it's an old derelict house. There's no roof. It was 3 or 4 floors, but obviously no floors, you just got the brickwork. So I've been there at night, been there like late afternoon, early evening. Anyway, did some filming. I'm watching the footage back to put it together to create a video, and you see this orb just come in from the doorway, turn, and then vanish. And the only still I could get of it was it was the orange orb and a bit of a tail on it. Because it happened so fast, I couldn't get any other shots of it. I'll see if I can find it. I'll send it to you. But it's like just orange. It's weird.
Okay, somebody put something in the chat that I want to mention. Can you imagine a ghost talking in Cockney? Could you understand it? So why do you think that ghosts or spirits speak to us how we can understand it?
That's a good question.
I do have a theory, but whether I can explain it, that's another story. I think they just use a what do you call it? Like a no tone sort of thing, just a basic voice without any. If they are using electronics to communicate, because obviously electronic EMFs, electronic magnetic field, or electronic voice phenomena, you got the word electronic keeps popping up every single time. So if they're using some sort of electrical impulse to communicate with us, like Ron and Lords do with Staticom, sometimes you do get, like when they've played it back and you've got the accent, it's still kind of a robotic, electronic kind of voice. So if they're using, say, one of the bandwidths, whether it's broadband, Wi-Fi, whatever, and they're communicating us through that, it's going to be just a basic voice without any accent to it. That's all I have.
I remember being on a ghost investigation where somebody was using an EVP, and there's been once or twice when I've been on investigations where you can actually ask the question and the EVP gives you the answer right back. And there was one time where this lady had lost her aunt, and so being from Scotland, she said, "Is that you?" Whatever her aunt's name was, and it was aye, but like broad Scottish. And like, even if it's they've got a tone that sort of I. You wouldn't, like an English person wouldn't say I. It would be a more a Scottish word, basically.
Yeah.
It would be like, so it wasn't just the tone, it's also the type of wording that they would use as well.
Yeah. So I think some of them do, but I think the majority it's just like a standard tone, I suppose.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know, like I've had a couple things come through with like an Irish accent or like a British accent, but for the most part it's just been very basic, like really no accent. Very neutral.
I don't know. But that's my theory of it. It's probably completely wrong, but
it's a good theory.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of value in what you're saying, though, Andy. I think there is something. It is tapping into some form of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, do you think that they know like what language we speak, and because they have access to like a collective consciousness, they can speak to us in that language so we can understand?
Possibly. I suppose, yeah, because Simon put mind speak. So even though we're hearing it through our ears, could it still be going into the brain and you just think you're hearing it?
Could be.
I really don't know.
I don't know.
Only thing I would say against that is whenever I've had that EVP on every single occasion, it's always been with people who have heard the exact same thing. Now, if you have people with different beliefs or different backgrounds, it's going to change your perception of reality. None of us see or perceive reality the same way. So for all of us to have the same thing, I don't understand how that could happen. Basically, that seems bizarre. Even on like big UFO, big cases like the Fatima incident, not everybody saw the same thing. People did perceive it in different ways. So how did, I know it was a small group, maybe about 4 or 5 people, but we all experienced the same thing.
Yeah, because you hear these like other accounts where there's God knows how many people, and they are it's a similar thing, but each of their accounts is slightly different or completely different.
Yeah.
And they're all in the same place at the same time.
Yeah. One thing I think where like AI could be really useful. One of my friends who's into the paranormal is a former policeman. He said, trying to get an account from somebody as quickly as possible is one of the best things you can do to make the account more accurate. Now, certainly for my case, 30 odd years ago, I can remember the very specifics, but I'd have a far more detailed account back in from 1999, like 5 minutes after the thing had happened, compared to 20 odd years ago. And one thing I think that AI would be really good for would be to develop chatbots that can actually interact with somebody and almost act like a me for an investigator to actually speak to them. And you can even do it via text and say, what did you see? Where did you experience it? And get that details as quickly as possible. And what I wondered about, you probably find in a lot of cases, you probably see them, while there'll be differences, the differences will be much less. So that's one of the things where I feel AI is going to be a big benefit towards the paranormal.
Yeah, that makes sense. But did you know that the new update on the iPad, you get ChatGPT free?
Oh.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes. So on the iPad, I've got I've put in for the beta updates. I've not done it on my phone in case it goes all funny, but if you do the beta updates, you always get it that little bit before, and you get like I said, ChatGPT. You just get the basic one. You can pay for the plus version where you get more credits and all these other different things. But just to do the chat, it's not bad from Apple actually giving you something rather than charging you for it.
Right.
So Yeah, exactly. So, I've used it a little bit, and it's pretty good. Because the other ones that I was paying for, I now don't need them so much. I only use them for image creating.
Mm-hmm.
So, Blue Shift's put, do your phone 18.11? No, this is so the new update, the beta update's 18.2. So on my phone, I've got 18.11, but the beta update, which is the next one that's going to come out, is 18.2, and that's where you get the full-blown AI on there.
I haven't updated mine because I heard it messes with your Photos app. And I'm scared I'm going to hate it. Yeah.
They say back it up before you do it, but on the iPad, I'm not bothered because I've got everything goes to the cloud anyway through my phone. So I just use the I use the iPad more just for editing and doing creating photos and what have you. So
I think the reason why it's been is Sam Altman testified to Congress that about a year ago to say, "Oh, our OpenAI is not designed to interact with in that sort of capacity. We'd be interacting almost like Facebook." And now they've realised now that one of the main issues with AI, especially large language models like ChatGPT, is that they need data and they need that sort of training data. So they've actually done a 180, and they're wanting to get people as involved into OpenAI and ChatGPT. So that's probably one of the reasons why you're starting to see these.
But as well, when you go on there, you get a choice of 4 different voices. I think it's 4 or 6, so whichever one you chose. And like the other one that was saying before, when you talk to it, and you can have a conversation, and it's like you're having a conversation with someone at a call center.
Yeah.
The first time I used it, I didn't know it was the app. Actually, I had to stop it because I was having a bit of a panic attack.
Yeah.
Thinking that I'd got in touch with someone and I was having a live chat like we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't. It was the AI. That's how good the voice is on there now.
They're good. And that's where, like, say, for example, if you have to wait for, like, MUFON, for example, I can imagine it's going to be days or weeks before you're going to, if you can get anybody to actually to do that. And you've got to go through the rigmarole of submitting a sighting. And that's, like, say, for example, I had an experience. I actually took an account from a witness, and I couldn't submit it to MUFON because I wasn't actually the witness.
Yeah.
By having somebody right there that can speak to ChatGPT and then put that data into a database, you're going to get that. You can actually almost have it during an encounter. That means that the data quality is going to be much, much better than how we currently reporting it.
And it's going on Apple Watch as well, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need AI on my watch.
You don't have to have it, but it's just,
Why do I need it on my watch? What am I going to do on my watch?
Don't know.
I bet you like 15 years ago, everybody was saying we won't need Facebook, and now you're always on Facebook. And then 20 years ago, it was we don't need a mobile phone, and now everybody's got a mobile phone. I can imagine it'll be the same. Yeah. And that's what these companies are going for now, is that they're going for getting people as involved and as invested with the AI and large language models. That's how they're seeing how they're going to make money from it.
Yeah. See, I do like it. Yeah, I do like it because I use it for doing the YouTube channel. I'm not so much like wiring a machine gun to the back of a robotic dog and sending it out to kill people. That's a whole different state of AI. But to create content, and say you've got to write 2-3 paragraphs, like when someone asks you to go on a podcast, like, can you send me a bio? And you're like, I don't have one. I deleted it. And it's like AI, you just type a sentence or 2 and what you want in, and it creates it all fire. If you've got a channel, it'll put all your links up. It'll put everything in there that it thinks will do you justice.
It lies, though. I tried that. I said, give me my bio. Like, I put my name in, and it pulled things from the internet that were not true. It made me sound really, really good, but half of it was bullshit.
Yeah, that's what mine did. I'm keeping that.
Yeah, AI hallucinates. So essentially, everything it's creating is actually an hallucination, and there are ways to narrow down the hallucination, but that factor is always going to be there. One thing I noticed was when ChatGPT 3.5 came out, and then latterly ChatGPT 4, it was okay-ish at helping with programming, but I've noticed even with these models that it's actually become much better. It's still not great. You can never, like, if I asked it to write a program for me, I wouldn't trust it. But it's good, like, you've got an error and it's saying where the error is, and then you can actually put it and suggest, oh, it's here, and then it can help you that way. But certainly for computer programming, it's very easy.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take us off. Sorry, just quickly. I'm going to take us off screen a minute. I just want to show you the full picture behind us. I'll just be 1 second.
Okay.
That is AI that I created using PixArt. No, it wasn't PixArt. I don't know which one it was. I've got that many now. I don't know.
Is it Dolly?
Oh yeah, it was Photoshop, Adobe.
Oh.
Photoshop Express, I think. Oh, one of those anyway. It's one of the Photoshop ones anyway, which is all owned by Adobe.
Did we talk about the fact that almost every picture of the moon is not real?
I did on Monday.
No, not like the moon landing, like the AI in your phone.
Oh, when you take a photograph.
Yeah, so there's
we haven't.
something in phones. I don't know if it's an iPhone, but it's definitely an Android, where you take a picture, and if like part of it is blurry or part of it doesn't come out, your phone will actually
AI's it. Yeah.
What it thinks it should be, which is crazy, because if you're taking a picture and like, oh, this little smudge comes up and it might be like an apparition or an orb or something, your phone could just edit it out.
Yeah.
Or it can add something in there that's not in there because it's trying to make sense of the picture. So reality is getting really, really kind of warped by AI.
Yeah. So see that one. So that's AI. Yeah. You can't just about see it. So So I could remove the background on that, change the background completely, and put a real background on it. I could change that ghost and alien and make them look more realistic, and it'll look like it was a photograph that was taken, say, out in a forest or something. I've done it. I bought a gimbal, DJI gimbal, earlier on this year. I took a photograph and it's got all the crap on my desk and everything behind it. Removed all that and set it up so it looked like it was on a rock in the sea, like the edge of the ocean, and it looked real. I'm like, I'm keeping that. That's so good.
Daryl heard it too about the moon. When you take the picture on your phone, it knows that you're trying to take a picture of the moon, and it just makes a moon.
Yeah. So
yes,
the way AI works with imaging is it's designed for it does a number of different things. So first thing, it will detect objects and locations. So say for example, you've got like the Eiffel Tower, it will, and it realizes at the Eiffel Tower, you're at the Eiffel Tower, for example. It can also detect brands, like say for example, Nike Tick, or it can detect faces.
And dog breeds. Yeah. So you take a photo of something, you click on that photo and look at the description and go, this looks like a pug, or this looks like a tiger.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a moon. This is a tree. So it like you said, it auto fills it.
Yeah, it's been so what happened is that AI, especially that type of AI, is constantly trained, and what AI is almost like a clay. An AI is not a program; it's actually a model. It's an algorithm that's then being trained to do something.
Yes,
and it degrades very quickly. Now, what happens is that these sort of AI, sort of imaging AI, has to be retrained constantly, and it'll be trained on specific data. So it'll be trained to know, like, say for example, an elephant, and it'll maybe have like a trunk or the big ears, but I'll be able to put them together and be trained in a way that even with the trunk or with big ears or sort of the grey skin, it'll detect this is more likely to be an elephant. I'll give it like a 99.8% chance, and then it'll kind of categorize it for you. Where the problem is that when we get to things like the paranormal, is how do you then train AI to detect a UFO, because maybe if it was like the Kenneth Arnold style UFOs with flying discs, that's great.
Yeah.
It changed to triangles in the 90s, and nowadays, if you look at the euphoric data, it's either they're just the most common description is either a light or something that changes. But how do you train an AI to say, look for a light or look for something that changes? It's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, maybe they've brought AI in to deceive us so that we can't work out what things are.
We do that.
Ulterior motive.
Yeah, they do. We do a pretty good job of that already, though, by ourselves.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Do that.
But it's anything's. That's the thing with this. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
It really is.
When I was researching for the AI, it was crazy just how massive it is. Like, there's actually no one single definition of what AI is. It's so big. Saying vehicle, for example. But what was crazy is while I investigated, it's just all the massive amounts of applications. Like, the one that really got me was, Rent-A-Kill, the people that
the pest control.
Yeah, they have facial recognition for rats. Find out repeat offenders who come into people's houses.
Wow.
I'm just thinking that's mental.
But saying that, this camera, when I first got it, it's got AI, and I've managed to download the software, and I can get into the settings now, and I've turned it off. It was zooming in on that, or the Ghostbusters sign, or the alien in the jar, or the cup, or stuff behind me, because it kept picking up different faces, thinking it was me. So it would like zoom here, there, and everywhere. So
that was during the 24-hour. I don't know. Did he switch before you came on, Mark? Camera, or was it doing that the whole time? It would randomly like zoom in.
No, I switched halfway through, so I was using the old camera at that point. But it was zooming in and out. And it's like every time you asked a question, it's like every time you asked a question, it'd like go.
Yeah. Anytime Andy would ask a question, it would go like dramatically. Oh my god! And then I'd start cracking.
I have no control of it. I know. It was good though, because I sent it back and did not a very good review on Amazon. They give me my money back and sent me a new one out. So it got a 4K, £100 webcam for nothing.
That's not bad.
So not complaining
and this
now.
Works.
Yes, I think it might have been that one might have been faulty because it just was not picking it up.
You get a little blurry with the autofocus every once in a while, but not.
Yeah, if I turn the autofocus off, it just stays blurred because you can't manually focus it. There's nothing there to do it. It's not like you can turn the lens or anything like that. But I don't know if I told you, got a few minutes left. I've had to uninstall TikTok from my PC.
Why?
So if you look at the bottom of your toolbar, I've got a little blue microphone near where it says the time and date. When I was streaming on it, I'd click on it and it would say microphone in use by TikTok. But it was so now it says microphone in use by Facebook. But when it was TikTok, it was grayed out. So if I click on it now, I can go into settings and disable all the different apps that use it. On TikTok, it wouldn't allow you to do it. It was on via Chrome. TikTok wasn't even open. So I've had to remove TikTok from Chrome and I've deleted the TikTok Studio app.
So why? But right now, why does Facebook have your microphone?
When you click on it now, you know, I'll share the screen because this is a phenomenon on its own.
It's telling me right now that Chrome is using my microphone, which it is.
Oh, I don't want window. Cancel. Sorry. Present. Share screen. Is it a window or entire screen? No, window. Settings. There we go. So it's just easier for you to see. So there's all the ones that it'll there. So where it says Facebook currently in use, but I can turn any of them off or on at any time I want.
All right, but if you're not on Facebook right now, why are they using your microphone?
Because you allow it in the small print. You allow your microphone and camera so that they can listen into what you're saying, so that when you talking about buying a new toaster or whatever, you'll see adverts on Amazon or Facebook about toasters. So, but like I can go down any of these and turn them on and off. So if I go on that one, so if I click on that, then I can disable it from there. So it's just that I've allowed access to it. But
why do you want them to stalk you? You should let them use your
TikTok would not allow you to go in and disable it.
That's weird.
I've had to completely remove it. I've got it on my phone. I am thinking of getting rid of it.
I can't do it. I like TikTok.
No.
Mark, are you on TikTok?
No, I can't say I am.
Don't bother.
Yeah.
I like TikTok.
They're spying on you and tracking you, and yeah, they're up to no good.
But they give you such relevant.
Yeah, that's how they make their money, though. Like they're like what we get taught. Like I work as a data engineer, and one thing you get taught whenever you work in any form of big data is that data is a new oil. So the data that they're getting on you is lucrative. That's why they're selling it off to marketers. So when you talk about you talk about toaster, and next minute the marketing comes in about toasters. That's them reselling their data. But what's happening then is that people are then reselling that data and then selling it over and over again. So then becomes like a lot of questions about ethics as well. So it gets pretty scary pretty quickly, actually.
Right. Are you ready for this one then?
Sure.
So I can go into my media kit on my YouTube channel, and it shows me audience interests in net and audience shopping interests over the last 60 days.
What is our audience interested in?
Right, so you guys that are watching now and in the chat, this is what's top: rock music fans, Olympic fans, dog lovers, 30-minute chefs, avid political news readers. Right? They're the last 4 are high. The rock music fans are very high. Right? These are their shopping interests: credit and lending, Mother's Day flowers and greeting cards, pet supplies, home and garden services, sports and fitness.
You can just see a lot of
I can see what everyone is looking at. I can't see who personally is looking at what.
You see a lot of like rockers with 6-packs and
yeah, but
interesting. So
interest level.
Mother's Day flowers.
Well, you've got interest level and audience share, and it even tells me the age range.
Yeah.
So the highest age range is 55 to 64, then 45 to 54, 35 to 44. United Kingdom 48%, United States 21%, and then Canada, Russia, and Germany. So it shows me everything.
The best one the best. Sorry, Andy.
No, it's right. It's mind blowing that I can see what you guys look at.
Yeah, and that what they're trying to do is that those trends are really valuable. So, say for example, I think there was a tornado or a storm in certain parts of the USA. I think it must have been like the Tornado Alley.
Yeah.
And what Walmart found that when a tornado was about to happen, there was a massive spike in the sale of Pop-Tarts. So the next time afterwards, when there was about to be a tornado happened, the first thing that Walmart started selling more of was Pop-Tarts, because that seemed to be people be buying. So all these like hidden trends, if supermarkets can find them, it can actually make them a lot of money. So that's where they're interested in all these little trends, because these little things that people are not able to identify are actually very lucrative to people.
I'm looking at my analytics right now to see what my demographic is. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And on TikTok, it shows you creators your viewers also watched. So it tells me like who else they're watching.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But this is the thing. So this is for like when you get your adverts on YouTube, when you're watching these channels, not just mine, but anyone's, you'll have personal ads specific to you. So then that I've just rhymed off, that's what you lot are getting in your adverts because that's what you're searching.
I'm not getting any ads.
For those who don't know, Google own YouTube. Yes, it's a very, very big company, and it's probably owned by is it Blackward, whatever, BlackRock, probably owned by them anyway. So
I thought it was Alphabet is the parent company. I didn't know they were owned by another company.
Yeah, BlackRock pretty much own everything. They're like there's 3 or 5 major companies that own every single company in the world, and BlackRock's like
97% of my viewers are from the US, 1.3% are from Russia, and only 0.6% are from the UK. What are you doing, guys?
That's me.
Are you letting Russia beat you?
I'm not even a full 1% yet. But yeah.
Russia's winning.
Yeah. So that's why I've got TikTok gone from the PC. Because I only use the phone and iPad if the PC is updating or it's gone down for whatever reason.
But it's crazy how people don't realize that their data is getting used like that. Like I work in a pharmacy, and you know all those like prescription discount cards. Yeah. People don't realize that you're giving them permission to access your medical records.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because when you bill people's prescriptions to these discount cards, they get all the information. They get what you're taking and everything.
Well, they've got to, because they need to know where the money's going from their side.
Yeah, exactly. But then they, build a profile for you, and then they sell it.
Probably AI anyway.
It's more. It won't be. Well, there will be AI invested be in it, but the data itself is the scary part. And who's then? Because what could happen is that then that data can then be sold on to somebody else, and then somebody else, and there's massive ethical concerns. Like, say for example, you have like Spotify, for example. If they find out, and I don't know if Spotify do it. I'm just using an example. So as a hypothetical scenario, Spotify find out that somebody's broken up with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and all of a sudden all the breakup music comes on, and then the ads come in for ice cream. That's actually not too bad because they'll have like breakup ice cream, but then say for example for hard proof alcohol, then the ethical quandary actually comes in. But the amount of data and how much they know on us is just so powerful now that actually arrest warrants aren't as prevalent because they can actually find out what you're doing and where you were by looking at data. And again, there are ethical concerns about that as well. But yeah, it's mental and it is genuinely scary just how much data has on us.
I know. And unfortunately, on that note, we are at the 2-hour mark. So we are going to have to end, unfortunately.
That goes just as fast as the hour and a half. I
know. It's just so quick. I'm just looking at time. It's like I need to be going to bed in like 10 minutes. I'm up for work at 7. It's 7. I'm in work literally at 7. So thank you, Mark, for coming on. Hopefully you'll come back on again in the new year.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No, it's been good. I always enjoy. I like the new guests because I like learning new stuff from them. And then, it's just ongoing. So, it's been really good. So thank you for everyone in the chat. Thank you for your questions, our new subscribers. It's also going out on podcast. So wherever you listen to your podcast, you can download and listen on there. That'll get uploaded today. So thank you to everyone on there. And thank you to Elaine for doing the modding. Thank you to Nicole for co-hosting. And again, thanks to Mark for coming on and being an amazing guest, same as last time.
Thank you, Andy, for hosting. Because nobody can see it.
No, I know. They don't, do they? That's awful. I'll put black ticks next to everyone, black cross next to everyone's name. No, so we are back on Friday with Adam Butler, and he's going to be talking about he's got a book out. This is a book that I have started reading. So it's the DMT Field Guide. So he's going to be talking about that and how he got involved with it and his mental status of where it all began. So back again at 8:30. And then, like I said, the last Monday is the 9th of December. And that's with Ian Gossett, who's from, I think, Atlanta, Georgia, or around that way. So if you guys can stay for 2 minutes after we finish the show, that'd be awesome. If you've got to go, that's fine. You can always chat to you via Messenger or something. So that's it. So have a great 2 days, everyone. And we'll see you Friday at 8:30 with Adam Butler. So take care and see you all then. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.